You skipped the daily coffee. You left a small balance on your credit card to show lenders you are responsible. You even celebrated that big tax refund in April. You followed the financial rulebook perfectly, but your bank account is barely moving. Most of what we believe about money was absorbed from parents and culture. Advice repeated so often it started to sound like fact. These ideas often spread because they are simple and memorable, rather than because they were built on a foundation of data. When we run the numbers, we find that many of these widely accepted beliefs create mathematical traps. They drain bank accounts through invisible leaks and diversions that hide the true drivers of wealth. Blindly following the standard rulebook frequently functions as a blueprint for wealth erosion, built on assumptions that crumble under mathematical scrutiny. We can categorize this sabotage into 3 areas, starting with the leaks. These are financial actions you take to prove you are responsible, which mechanically cost you cash. Take the assumption that leaving a portion of your credit card balance unpaid each month builds a better credit history. The logic implies that lenders want to see you actively managing debt over time. Credit models reward consistent, on-time payments and low credit utilization. Carrying a balance satisfies neither. Pay your card in full every month. Furthermore, closing an unused card shrinks available credit. This instantly pushes your utilization higher, even if spending never changes. Then there is the annual tax refund. A large check in April is simply the return of your own money, a sign that your employer withheld too much from your paychecks, giving the government an interest-free loan throughout the year. Following these specific rules generates avoidable interest for banks and traps your own liquidity when you could have used it to earn interest or pay down debt in real time. The second category of sabotage involves the distractions. These keep you financially strained by misdirecting your attention toward the wrong mathematical variables. You have likely heard that cutting out minor daily purchases, like a morning latte, will produce significant wealth. Small amounts invested consistently do compound over time, but focusing entirely on discretionary daily spending creates unnecessary guilt over minor comforts, while ignoring the expenses that actually dictate your budget. Financial outcomes are heavily determined by structural variables: your income, your fixed transportation costs, your loan interest rates, and your housing. This leads directly into a common distraction: the certainty that renting a home is a waste of money, while buying is an automatic win. Renting is simply payment for a defined service, shelter without the obligations of ownership. This comparative bar chart illustrates the reality. The left bar shows the single sunk cost of renting. The right bar reveals the unrecoverable costs of home ownership. Property taxes, insurance, routine maintenance, and front-loaded mortgage interest often outweigh any early equity you build. Buying a home can be a sound decision, but it is defined by trade-offs. Scraping together marginal savings on a morning coffee cannot rescue a budget weighed down by a poorly calculated, overly expensive mortgage. The final category is the blockers. These are beliefs rooted in fear that prevent individuals from participating in actual economic growth. When a sudden medical bill or job loss hits, relying on a credit card as a substitute for an emergency fund creates immediate vulnerability. You are forced to borrow money at a high interest rate exactly when repayment is most difficult, initiating a debt cycle that compounds the original crisis. This danger often morphs into the belief that all debt should be avoided entirely. But a high-interest credit card used for routine consumption operates differently from a mortgage or an education loan. Strategic leverage is designed to acquire an appreciating asset or increase your future earning capacity. That same aversion to risk drives the comparison that investing in the stock market is equivalent to gambling at a casino. This model breaks down both actions. On the left, a casino wager carries a negative expected return by design, bearing no relationship to a productive asset. On the right, equity investing represents ownership in businesses. Over time, broad market indexes reflect true economic growth. Steering clear of all debt and market volatility doesn't keep your money safe. It ensures your purchasing power will be slowly eroded by inflation, costing you decades of lost financial opportunity. People often wave off financial optimization by quoting a familiar phrase: "Money cannot buy happiness." This graph plots income against subjective well-being based on a 2021 study. It reveals that as income rises past basic needs, baseline happiness continues rising. Financial security measurably reduces a highly specific category of stress, the inability to absorb unexpected costs. The reason these financial myths persist, and the reason they keep people broke, is that they are treated as absolute universal laws. Real personal finance rarely fits into a catchy slogan. Outcomes depend on your interest rates, your exact time horizons, your household income, and your specific obligations. True financial literacy is not about finding a new set of rules to blindly follow. It is a discipline. When financial advice is presented as absolute law, you have to examine the reasoning behind it and test whether it holds up against the actual numbers.